I'd like to welcome everybody to our April 13th work session. Are there any corrections or additions to the agenda? Jay?
I also have none.
Bill?
He's still muted.
None.
Okay. Roger?
I have none.
Okay. Neil?
I have none.
Okay. Before we open the meeting up to public input pertaining to the agenda items, I'd ask Councilman Gordon to explain to everybody who's viewing this meeting how they can get a hold of us during the meeting. Roger?
He's muted.
Citizen wants to participate in the meeting tonight, they need to call City Hall at 827-5300. As soon as you start hearing the message, just punch in 100, and that will take you to our live connection to the City Hall meeting, and then enter the code 216544 and then the pound sign. It may take a couple seconds before it links to the audio portion, but bear with it and you should be able to participate.
Thank you, Roger. At this time, we offer anybody in the public the opportunity to call in. So we'll wait a few minutes here and see if anybody'd like to talk to us. Hearing nobody, we'll move on to the manager's report. Neil?
Yeah, good evening, Council. Just a few items on the manager's report this week. The first item is the Public Works Department is preparing for the 2020 paving project this year with the liquid fuels. This Friday is actually the bid opening at 1 o'clock. We're going to obviously be doing that meeting, a virtual meeting with the bidders. Spruce Street is one of the roads being paved. Part of that project is the handicap corners at the intersections as well along that route. Unfortunately, the budget that was done for this year did not have the detectable warning plates. Now, these warning plates go at the handicapped intersections along this route. That being said, these plates are a requirement and have to be put in. And that being said, you're looking at about 70 detectable warning plates that needed to be ordered that were not part of the, obviously part of the budget for this year. And that's going to be right around $5,700, give or take. And like I said, that was not planned to be spent on this project. So one of the things I did look into was some eligible expenses in the liquid fuel, some things that maybe we could purchase. Maybe those handicap plates could be purchased through liquid fuels. So I was able to gather today an acceptable expenditure for liquid fuels. And I think possibly that those plates may be in there. I'll have to do a little bit more research here and see. But that's a possibility that the liquid fuels money may cover those plates. The only thing is we didn't get a lot of money to pave the roads in the liquid fuels. So, that's $5,700, $6,000. That's if it's going to come out of the liquid fuels fund, that's $6,000 we can't put towards a road here in town. So just so council's aware, that was unexpected expense.
Do you have that total, Neil, what we're receiving from liquid fuels
I
off the top of your head?
don't off the top of my head.
Ballpark it.
Like I said, it wasn't a lot. Spruce Street was quite a stretch that was getting paved. They've obviously already started on that, getting it prepped. So, Mayor, I couldn't give you a total amount exactly.
It looks like in this year's budget, they had budgeted $215,000. Does that ring a bell? If not,
Yeah, that sounds pretty close to it. I was thinking right around 200,000. So yeah,
okay.
that's close.
What I had mentioned to Neil today was if we take the 5,700 out of liquid fuels, getting the ruling from the county that we can use CDBG money for paving, we may be able to reimburse our liquid fuel or our paving program through CDBG. So that's something just to keep in mind that we might have to look at. Okay, Neil, sorry.
Nope, no problem. Next item I have, actually have to change it up here. I was going to talk about the Diamond Street building and the update on that. Things have changed, obviously, today. I was in possession of the signed agreement and the deed from the owner of the Diamond Street property. I was actually going to talk about how we were going to proceed further without having that. We gave a deadline to the owner of May 1st. And believe it or not, today we got that signed agreement back along with the deed. I did make a phone call to TRA to find out the next step. Now that we have that step out of the way, so we're able to move forward now, obviously with that signed agreement and deed. So I'm very happy to say it appears that's been a long overdue. Kind of city was at a standstill for some time, as we all know. So. We're ready to proceed to the next step.
I would add that I would personally commend our city manager on the work that he did on the Diamond Street property. He set the tone early with the owner out in Arizona. And because of the tone he set, I think that's the reason we got this agreement so quickly. And I want to say to Neil, I appreciate it. And you did an excellent job with this.
I would like to second that also. I have seen things happen that we didn't think could ever be possible with Neil's personality and the way he interacted with the guy. Thank you, Neil.
Okay, Neil.
Okay, next item I have is the CARES Act fund. It's actually through CDBG. This is a stimulus package that has just passed, which provides the state of PA with a series of funding, the first being about $24 million to assist with aid during the coronavirus. I've been working with TRA and the planning office to make sure that the city of Titusville is part of this funding. I'm still working out some of the logistics with that and what is covered under the CARES Act. I did receive from TRA some of the what the stimulus covers. So that's something I can share with council here this week, and we can see where we fit into that stimulus and if we do. As far as some of that money that's coming into the state. Apparently it's 3 phases of money that's coming in, and it would be something that we need to fill out documentation for. So I'll work with council this week on that, and we'll see where we're at. The next item I have on there is the city currently has a CD with Farmers National Bank. It is actually due up at the end of April this month. The CD has over $1 million. And previous administration had stated that they wanted to use it for money to pay off a loan that the city had. So council needs to decide what they'd like to do with this CD at Farmers Bank. I do have a meeting tomorrow with Amy Rio to discuss that CD and some of the options that we have. So council just needs to, advise what they'd like to do with that CD moving forward.
Do you know any of the options at this point?
I do not. I had a call into Farmers Bank yesterday. I didn't hear back from them till this morning. Basically, that message back this morning was, hey, let's get together and we can talk further about it. So I will, as soon as I hear what options we have and length of time for things like that, I'll get back to council with those options that we have.
Hey, Neil,
Yes.
it said here they were going to pay off a previous loan. Yeah, you know what that was?
I am not familiar. That was before my time, before I started here. So I do not know much information on what loan that was going to be paid off.
Does anybody have any idea what that was, Dan, Mayor?
I would assume that it is in relationship to the loan in the sewer department.
Okay.
That we have about at just a hair bit over 1% interest.
Correct. I guess my input on this would be, considering what we're going through right now and kind of keeping a close eye on the budget, I would feel better that we didn't lock this thing up for, a long period of time. Maybe if we have a 30-day or 6-month or 9-month type of deal, that's the area I would be in, just in case we need it.
Even if we do, I believe, even if we get another 1-year CD, we can always get out of that if we need to. It'll just be a penalty, slight penalty.
Yeah. Neil needs to get all that information for us. So, okay, Neil.
Okay. Next item I have on there.
Anybody else want to chime in on that?
I would agree. I would say, we're kind of at a time of uncertainty here, and we don't know exactly what we're going to need. We could really handcuff ourselves following through with what previous administration had wanted, or if we reinvest for a longer period of time. If we come out of this unscathed, we can always re-explore what we're going to do with it.
Okay. Roger, anything?
Nothing.
Okay. Okay, Neil.
Okay. Next item I have on there is just from last week. Basically just a review of Ordinance 1 of 2020 that was sent to the Titusville Herald on Tuesday. It was actually published in the paper on April 11th. This ordinance was also added to the city's website so the public could also view it as well. After the 30-day passes, it will be set to be voted on for its second reading on May 11th. So I just wanted to give council an update on the status of that ordinance. So May 11th, 2020 will be the second reading. The next item I have on the manager's report is just the school resource officer status. I've been in contact with the school district last week several times and with our solicitor as well, and our police chief, just going back and forth on an agreement. I would tell you the discussions have been going well, and we're just trying to finalize an agreement and get things worked out for that first step for the school resource officer for the school. Obviously, we don't know. We hope that school will start, on time this next school year. But our goal is to have that officer and ready to go by July and have them in place. So next item, previously Waterworks had a water leak on Elm Street. I spoke about it last week. It was one of 2 leaks that we had. During the repair, the turn valve still continued to leak, according to the Public Works Director. They inspected it and they attempted all measures to fix the valve, but it was very corroded. It just wasn't fixable. It is a 6-inch valve, and the cost to repair is about $1,000 an inch. So Patrick was able to get a couple quotes, and with both quotes coming in with the labor, it's going to be right around $7,000 to repair. Like I said, the Public Works Department did their best to try to figure out a way to repair it, but it's just non-repairable. Public Works does have a line item in the budget for a valve replacement. It's unfortunate, but that's what it's there for, and we're going to have to get that replaced, and they're in the process of working on that. So just so council's aware, it's obviously not cheap, but it's something we have to address. So, and
Any questions on the manager's report?
I got just one more quick one, Denny. I apologize. added on to the end here.
Okay.
Just the police from the police department, Patrolman Andrew Karn. He's completed his probationary period of employment. Just want to note also, back on February 20th, Andrew received a supervisor's notation for going above and beyond his normal requirements and expectations. So we're proud to have Andrew on board here with the city. He's doing a phenomenal job, and he needs to be recognized for completing his probationary period. So that's all I got.
Any questions of the manager? Okay, moving on. City charter. Councilman Gordon, would you like to speak on this?
Okay. This concerns whether or not we want to proceed with making changes either to the charter or to the way we elect our mayor as a community. Our solicitor, Rich Winkler, put together a memo to us outlining basically what our options are. First of all, if we simply are wanting to make a change allowing the voters of the city of Titusville to directly elect the mayor, this is a procedure that is initiated by a petition signed by at least 30% of the number of residents who voted at the last general election. If that petition is received with that number of electors signing, the question is then placed on the ballot at the next primary, municipal or general election, depending on the timing of the year when that comes into it. The second option is if we're wanting to completely abandon our current form of government that we've had since sometime in the 1950s and revert back to the basic third-class city code. This would take us back to some provisions that were not accounted for in more recent changes to the code. So that's probably not a good option. The third option that we have is a home rule charter and options plan. This particular procedure would require that a commission be voted on by the electorate. If they would choose to proceed with a commission, they then must also elect a commission of either 7, 9, or 11 members, and that would be determined by other factors. If the commission is authorized and elected, then they would also then have 9 months to study the options and get back to the city with their recommendations. If the recommendation is to make a change, then this particular option would again go back before the voters for a vote. So that is definitely the longest way to accomplish what I think the voters were really wanting, was to have the ability to directly elect the mayor. The only thing in the home rule charter option, we would allow us to make other changes that might be beneficial to the city, but once again, it would be based on the recommendations of the commission.
Questions to Roger? Roger, am I correct? Isn't Franklin under home rule?
Franklin and Warren.
Okay.
What is Oil City under?
Is the same as we are.
Okay.
Only they elect their mayor.
Okay.
Now, what's council feeling right now?
It was probably one of the biggest questions that was asked last year when we knew that the outgoing mayor was not running again. People asked how they voted for mayor, a lot of people didn't understand. I think it would be really nice to have the people be able to vote for that.
All right, why don't, if council's in agreement, why don't we have Roger, who's basically legislative for council, and Neil, take this a few steps further as we go down the road here. I understand about doing it, but I think our plate has a little more on it than,
Yes.
priority than this, but I don't think we want to take this off of the burner either. But under C, under old business, I think that's an issue that we need to get moving on quicker than,
Yes.
So
I would agree with you, Mayor, on that. One thing, what maybe Neil and I and the solicitor could discuss and come back with maybe a recommendation to council and reasons why we recommend that particular plan. And if we, for example, would choose the first option on the list that Solicitor Winkler has given us, it really is not something that would be initiated by council to begin with. It would be initiated by the voters.
okay.
And we could help coordinate that perhaps, but it really would not involve a lot of our time.
Sure. Everybody in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Bill?
Yep.
Okay. Moving on, an update on the police fire pension refunds. I think you had something in your packet. If Neil wants to expand on that, Neil?
Yeah, really, it's pretty simple. There's three sheets attached there. On the front sheet that I provided council, basically what's due from the city is $325.49. That's actually money that's owed from the police and fire pension. I think that's mostly from, looks like the fire pension actually there's money due from the fire pension, due from the police pension. But what it comes down to basically is, what we spoke about last week. There's $3,125.49 that's needs paid to, the police officers.
And this is for the years 2018 and 2019, correct or not?
2000, looks like 17's on there as well.
Okay.
But miscalculations?
Yeah, miscalculations from previous administration. It was a lot of work that Heather put into this, as you know, and that's where we're at. It's upside down, over $3,000. That's got to be paid.
All right. Thanks for that update, Neil. All right, the RFP for the stamp program from DCED. Neil?
Yes, Rich is here with me. I'll let him speak about what's next in that process.
Okay.
If
Hello,
we
Rich.
desire of council to pursue this project, I think the first step would be a resolution to authorize the solicitation of proposals from financial consultants to do the study. I think one key part of that resolution would be the amount council's willing to devote as a local match for the project. Assuming that step is taken, then they give the DCD gave us a pretty good package with the kinds of things that you would include in the RFP. We would have to publish that and solicit proposals, and then accept one once they came in and they were reviewed. And then I guess at that point, whoever the consultant selected would then proceed with the study and come back with recommendations.
Does the resolution, part of that resolution, does that authorize to go out for the RFP?
Yes.
Okay.
And it includes seeking the grant from DCD as well to fund the project.
I think before our two newest members came on board, the three older ones, you know, we have so much tenure here that this is something that we really wanted to move forward on. And my position would be that we have the city manager and the city solicitor prepare a resolution for our next meeting.
I'm in agreement with that.
I would agree, and I would also
agree.
make the point that depending on what the recommendations are as a result of this particular project, DCED will also join in and fund 50% of their recommendations. So, for example, right now we have a computer server that could cost the city as much as $10,000 to replace. If that was part of their recommendations to do, we might be able to help fund that replacement.
Good point. So, Jay, anything?
No, just to catch myself up while everybody was talking here, I looked it up and it looks like the DCED offers like a total grant of up to $200,000. So essentially, we could do, not that it's in the budget, but we could do $400,000 worth of work for $200,000. So,
Sure. Yeah. Bill, anything?
No, I think that'd be okay.
Okay, since this is a work session, but a voting meeting also, I would entertain a motion to direct the city manager and the city solicitor to prepare the resolution for our next meeting on Monday.
I'll second.
I didn't make the motion. I need someone to make the motion.
I'll make
Oh,
Okay,
I'll make.
John made the motion, Bill second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Payton,
Yes.
Mr. McCrillis,
Yes.
Mr. Crouch,
yes.
Mr. Witowski,
yes.
Mr. Gordon.
Yes.
All right, new business. The first item is the proclamation for the United Way. I will read this to you, and we'll present it to them whenever we have the opportunity to meet with them. Whereas on Friday, April 13th, 1945, a meeting was held to organize a community chest for the Titusville community, and the first campaign had a goal of $45,600 to fund agencies for 18 months. And whereas in 1946, compelled by statements as man's brotherhood to man and those with a conscience, members were asked to raise $38,500. And whereas in 1975, the Titusville Area Community Chest was renamed the Titusville United Way, a community-focused, volunteer-led, nonprofit corporation responsible for both short and long-range goals. And whereas individual United Ways are run by local community members, allowing for raising funds locally, deciding which agencies receive funding locally, and achieving results locally. And whereas today our local United Way works directly with local businesses, government, nonprofits, and schools to identify community needs while finding solutions for the residents. And whereas many programs have been developed, such as the Center for Financial Independence, which serves approximately 700 families per year, Stuff the Bus, and the Titusville Regional Literacy Council, to name only a few. Now, therefore, in honor of the United Way's 75th birthday, I, Dennis E. Payton, Mayor of the City of Titusville, encourage the citizens of Titusville and the surrounding area to continue to support the agency and thank the staff and the many volunteers that make it possible to provide the essential services needed in our area. Proclaim this day, Monday, April 13th, 2020, in the year of our Lord, the 2020th. And I would just go on record of thanking Terry Wigg and her staff. They do a great job over there, and they need to be commended. So, all right. Next item is the Recreation Circuit Rider. If you had the opportunity to read the information that Neil put in your packets regarding the recreation program. It was kind of an interesting story when it all began and how it began. And I think it was 70 years ago that it all started. And our local program has been the model, that the state has used throughout the years. And unfortunately, the model is no longer with us. We're not going to change it overnight, but I think some of us have the goal that we'd like to see a recreation program back up in place. With the budget the way it is, it'd be hard pressed to find money right away to fund someone, but they're through DCNR. They have a circuit rider grant that we can apply for at any time. It can be used with joint municipalities, or it can be used with joint government entities, such as the way we used to be with the school and the city. And what that would do, they would pay for a individual. It would pay 100% of their wages. The first year, 75 the second, 50 the third, and 25 the fourth. And it also would allow for approximately $2,000 a year for training for this person. I think if we're going to move towards a recreation program, the circuit rider may be a prime opportunity for us. And I've shared with several of you that I spoke with an individual who was basically mentored by Eddie Meyer, and she supports the city of Titusville, and she just happens to work for DCNR. So I don't know what council's pleasure is, but I think possibly we should just look into this a little deeper and see if we can qualify for it.
Mayor, do you know, can individual and corporate sponsorship be used for our local match?
There, it doesn't say, the literature I have right now, Roger, does not show that. I think what it shows, I'd have to look into a little deeper, but what I think they're looking at is the city. Let's say the city and the school went together. The city and the school would have to pick up the 25% the second year, and then the 50% the third year. And, we as a community, I would think we could encourage corporations and so on to donate, that we could use that money, give it to us directly, and then we could use it for that program specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So I would check into that. I can check into that though. But I think that if a local company wanted to give us $25,000 to the recreation program, knowing that it was going to go for administrative fees, I don't see anywhere it says we can't do that.
Okay, I would certainly be supportive of proceeding further with this and investigating it more.
Any other comments?
I'm definitely would agree to look into it wholeheartedly.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else on the circuit rider?
I'm good.
Okay. We'll move on to water meters. We've had a few discussions, limited discussions on single meters for multi-unit buildings. Neil, I'll let you talk a little bit about it. The only thing I'd say is the city runs into a problem where a landlord has 3 or 4 rentals in the same building, and they only have 1 meter. And if that landlord continues to collect rent but doesn't pay the water bill, the city has no ability to go and turn the water off. And we go down a road that is long and winding to collect that money. So, Neil, you want to add anything to that?
I don't have a whole lot to add. Just like you said, it's a struggle. Lori deals with folks, water bill, people not paying their water bills, and we're kind of strapped on what we can and can't do, and we get into problems with landlords, and we're dealing with some issues now, and it's frustrating. So something needs to be done. That's really all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah. I would suggest that this would not affect any current landlord. However, if that landlord wanted to make a change within his building, then it would affect him. It would not affect housing units such as the Billy Brown Building or Central Towers as a housing authority. So I don't know what council feeling is, if we want to proceed and have the city manager and the city solicitor put something together for us to consider.
I like the idea of grandfathering in, but I think that, like you say, if there's going to be changes done to the structure, or if the property would sell, I think should be a part of a requirement that it be metered at that point.
Yeah,
Just like they do with the downspouts.
right. Anything, Jay?
Yep, I agree with it.
Okay. Bill?
That's good.
Okay.
I
So
agree.
are we in agreement then? We have the city solicitor, city manager prepare something formal for us to vote on.
Yes.
I'm in agreement, 100%.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next item is recycling grant. Neil?
Been trying to reach out to our what's labeled as a project advisor through DEP. It's the DEP regional recycling coordinator. Executive secretaries reached out to her last week and sent another email today. Obviously, it's kind of tough with what's going on with this coronavirus. So we have some questions into the project advisor to see what we can and can't do. If we possibly want to, are we stuck on a location to where this project has to take place? So the questions are out there to her. We're just waiting for a response back. So as of right now, nothing has changed.
Neil, would you expand on the conversation you and I and Roger had with the water plant operator?
Yeah.
Regarding the location and his concerns?
Yeah, there's some concern. The project was slated, the location was near Waterworks, and one of the issues is a tank that's located near the Waterworks building. So with this recycling grant, heavy trucks going in and out, bulldozers, if concrete's placed down there, things like that. There's some concern from the operators with this tank under the ground. We certainly don't want to disturb it. It's very fragile. It's a concrete tank, if I'm understanding it correctly. So there's some concern with the location of where this recycling, where the building is and where the work would be done. So one of the questions to DEP is, are we able to move locations? We certainly don't want to put at risk, a tank that's underground, and if we have an opportunity to move it somewhere else, then that's what we're going to do. So that's kind of in a nutshell, I guess, Mayor,
Okay.
what the situation is. If you want to elaborate any more.
Roger, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. This tank is the tank where the water is basically treated before it gets distributed to the city, and it would be a major calamity if something would happen to it.
Yeah, one of the other concerns was right beside that tank, there's an emergency line that would go to if something would happen to that tank. These are the main lines coming out of our water plant. So that was great concern. And I think they mentioned last year or the year before, they collected computers and such down there. And everybody, the company that came in, were all in hazmat uniforms. And that was really concerning to our employees that, what would DEP have to say with this going on as close to our water source as it was. So the location, and the other thing with the location is when you come into town, from the west or north, Mr. Elliott would correct me tonight,
North.
On the right-hand side, that would be one of the first major things you would see coming into our community. So Neil's on top of it, but we want to make sure you guys know. Any questions on that? Okay.
No.
At this time, we offer for public input. Once again, we'll give you a few minutes to call in if there's anybody wishing to speak to council. So we'll wait a few minutes here.
Somebody wants to know what the code is when they call in.
What was that, John?
44 pound.
Say it again.
216544 pound.
Thank you.
And when they dial 827-5300, they need to choose extension 100. Just punch 100 in.
Is there a consolation prize for our first caller?
Is there one?
Maybe it all depends on who it is.
All right. Hearing no phone
It's my
calls,
wife.
comments by mayor or council. Roger?
I have none.
Okay. Bill?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Neil for all the work he's done on this the Diamond Street project. That's a real shot in the arm right now. And I'd like to also thank the city crew today. I see them out cleaning out catch
Yes.
basins, catch that water. I really appreciate the work that they're doing down there.
John?
I would like to ditto Bill there on the hats off to Neil and the city workers. I also saw the police chief today, and it's nice that they're out there during this time. And I guess I just want to say my heart goes out to all the businesses in the city. I hope that we can get this coronavirus thing solved and over with as soon as possible so people can get back to some sort of normalization. And thank you for what the people of the city are doing. That as of right now, I don't know that we've had any coronavirus cases in the city of Titusville so far, and everybody's doing a great job.
Thanks, John. Jay?
The only thing I'd like to mention is something that the mayor mentioned last week, and that is refraining from using the equipment in all of the city parks right now. We welcome you to enjoy the parks, but please refrain from using any of the playground equipment, benches, picnic tables, whatever they may be. In the last 48, 72 hours, I've seen people on equipment in 4 different parks, I believe. And this is an inconvenience for everybody, us included, but really it's there for everybody's safety to, like Councilman Crouch said, as of right now, we don't know of any cases in town here. Let's all do our part to keep it that way. And this is one of those ways that we can do it.
Okay. Thanks, Jay. Just taking off on what Jay said, I received an email today from Armstrong Cable where, trying to help people out, they opened up hotspots for internet services. And the 2 hotspots in Titusville was Shady Park and Roberts Grove. So I forwarded that on to Neil and had him get a hold of Armstrong and let them know that our parks are closed for picnic tables to do homework on and do whatever and have lunch at. So hopefully they'll make a hotspot someplace else in the city for us. Okay. All right.
Good thought, though.
What's that?
It was a nice thought, but
Oh, sure. It's a nice gesture, but a little communication and could have saved them. So, all right, gentlemen, thank you. And we'll be talking in a few minutes. So have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.